Are any of the English teams going to have a problem in this year's UEFA Champions League group stage? The draw has taken place. They're all aiming for the last 16 at the turn of the year. But out of these four sides, who's going to have the hardest job? That's your job at the moment to let us know who's going to have it easy and who's going to have it tough.
When you're as good as Manchester City are, let me tell you something. It doesn't really matter who you draw in this group. And even as you look at the names of the teams, you just say, well, okay, Manchester City has already played against Shakhtar the last couple of seasons. That's all right. They know who they're going against, and they know the players, and they know the travel, and all those things that people tend to believe are tough things to do in Champions League. Manchester City will be just fine. Dinamo Zagreb, thanks but no thanks. And Atalanta, newcomers into the competition. I just feel like Manchester City are so much better than everybody else in this group, and much better than most teams in Champions League. They'll get through this group easily and go on to bigger and better things in the competition.
A walk in the park. Who's next?
Well, much like the Premier League, Liverpool and Manchester City are head and shoulders above everybody else. Again, familiar territory with Napoli, Salzburg. It's not a team that is going to be all that competitive with Liverpool. Genk, same story. Napoli may be a challenge, but in the end, Liverpool will be too good for all of them. Liverpool will walk through this group on to the next round of the competition.
Yeah, it looks like a foregone conclusion for the European champions as well. Chelsea or Tottenham?
This is a tricky one. This is a tricky one because the Spurs group is tough, but I think Chelsea's group is a little trickier than Spurs is. See, Spurs, if they play as well as they did towards the end of last year, and if they play as well as we expect them to play, yes, they're going to have a tough time against Bayern Munich. But then after that, Olympiacos and Star Belgrade are teams that you should be able to beat. Now, you know that rhetoric about how it's no easy game going to Belgrade. Okay, I get it. All right, I understand it. So be it. But Spurs is a good team and should be better than Red Star Belgrade, and they should go there and get a result. In the end, I think Spurs gets through these teams. Eventually, it's Bayern Munich and Spurs, and then the rest of the group. I think Spurs will be fine.
Had a very good group stage last year, didn't they, as well, Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea.
Yep, and it's a tricky one simply because we don't know a lot about Chelsea. We still don't know who they are. And we know what they are, Ajax, and they've lost a couple of players, and yet they just seem to regenerate. They seem to recreate other players, and other players step in, and they look good out of the midfield and in the attacking half. Valencia is a team that can be very good technically, that can pass the ball, can move the ball around, that will challenge Chelsea for possession of the ball. And we don't know a whole lot about Lille. But again, Chelsea and who they are, it's what troubles me here, because they don't really have a goal scorer. They don't have a guy that is going to put the ball in the back of the net. And in Champions League, when you have tight matches, where is the difference coming from? Who is the difference maker for Chelsea? I don't think they don't have any. I don't feel like there's a guy that steps in there and says, you know what? Yeah, I am the guy that is going to take the reins. I am going to be Eden Hazard. No, they don't have that guy. And so it's going to have to come from all sorts of other places. Chelsea's a young team. They'll have difficulties going on in the Premier League as well. Their attention may be divided. They have the toughest group.
They have a few months to form all of those things that you say that they're currently unanswered questions. Do you think that they're seriously going to have a problem getting through?
Well, yeah, I just said there's the toughest group draw. And the reason being, you look at Valencia, fine. You look at Ajax, fine. Those are teams that you can beat, but those are teams that can also beat you. And that's the part where Chelsea have to be very clear in that just in name alone, you're not going to win this. Just in name alone, you're not just going to walk through this group. Whereas Liverpool, Manchester City show up, and the other teams are like, oh boy. You watch Chelsea play every weekend, and they are vulnerable. And if they're vulnerable in our eyes, they're certainly vulnerable in the eyes of Ajax and Valencia as well. Okay,
so it's the London sides who are most at threat. According to Ale, for this year's UEFA Champions League group stage from the English contingent, we'll see if they can repeat the success that they enjoyed, of course, last year with Liverpool going all the way. And just a note, it's the Atatürk Stadium in Istanbul for the final this year, scene of 2005, and that unbelievable comeback from Liverpool.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.